Now, the controversial Lindela Repatriation Centre just outside Krugersdorp has been accused of severe overcrowding and contravening lockdown regulations. The centre has in the past been the focal point of complaints from various NGOs over the suspected human rights violations relating to detained immigrants. Now, for more on this, we go live to our reporter Hitekani Magwedze, who is at the centre. Hitekani, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, as I rightfully mentioned, there have been concerns coming up from Lindela, possible social distancing violations, rules being touted, as well as concerns over cases. What's the latest on your end?
Well, we know that the Lindela Repatriation Centre has in the past not been in the news for any good news. We know that there have been complaints about those overcrowding, poor living conditions, and how the immigrants have been treated, as you rightly said, have been contravening human rights and the rights of refugees. Now, this is, of course, the wrong time to be having similar complaints and similar issues, considering the fact that the country and the world is currently fighting the rise and the spread of coronavirus. Now, we have seen videos and we have video footage showing hundreds of immigrants who are currently inside this area who are not observing any social distancing, and we don't see security or anyone inside here assisting the situation. We suspect that if there is a case of coronavirus, then there will be very very damning consequences, as a lot of people might just get sick. But talking about the staff as well, a lot of the security, we understand, has been complaining that the overcrowding poses a danger not only to the immigrants and refugees, but to the staff as well. And that has led to very poor motivation to actually do the work. We understand as well, we've been told by a source that about 37 refugees have escaped from this facility on Saturday, and this is brought on because of the poor motivation or motivating conditions that people here work under. So it's a huge concern. We will be speaking to Home Affairs a little later on to have to ask questions on whether they are aware of the living conditions that the refugees are living under right here while they wait deportation, and whether they are aware of the working conditions that staff find themselves in. In addition, Lisa will be speaking to an NGO that is currently that helps immigrants, specifically here in Lindela, to find out what they know of the situation inside. We also know, Liesel, that there have been fights that broke out inside, and the security have been quite resistant in, breaking up those fights, because they would have to go in between these crowds of people, and there are fears, which are realistic fears, that of contracting any coronavirus because of the current challenge that the world finds itself in.
Hitekani, you mentioned that you're awaiting a response from Public Works as well as Home Affairs. I'm just wondering, whilst the story develops, has the Lindela Repatriation Centre come out in response to the cell phone footage that has emerged? What's their response on that front?
Well, we haven't spoken to any officials on any official basis as yet. What we have now is sources have come out to try and give this information and have it come out into the limelight, so that there is public discourse, but also so that officials can officially comment on them. But as a centre, they will not speak. The only people who will be speaking is Home Affairs on behalf of the centre. So we look forward to that conversation with them a little later in the day. our viewers wants to catch that, they can stay tuned to to Newsroom Africa, definitely not Home Affairs, to Newsroom Africa. But it's very critical questions that need to be answered, because it certainly seems as though the immigrants have been left to fend for themselves at a time when the world really is trying to fight against coronavirus, and everyone is encouraged to bridge together and make sure that they flatten the curve, as it were. But inside there, it doesn't look like the facilities or the assistance and support is there to ensure that there is social distancing. So a huge concern, certainly, in the fight against coronavirus, but as a whole against the lifting up of human rights, and not only the rights of South Africans, but of immigrants and refugees as well.
Hitekani Magwedze, thank you very much. As that story develops, we'll continue to cross to you. Our reporter, Hitekani, just stationed outside the Lindela Repatriation Centre in Krugersdorp. We're going to be finding about the allegations of severe overcrowding at the centre, and also get a response from the Department of Public Works, Home Affairs, and the centre itself.